Okay. Oh, that's a bit. That's better. Okay, here we go. You have to ignore the noises. This is completely unplanned. I am going to be doing some painting. I've got a rare day to myself. So I thought, hey, Skarna's up and awake. That's good. I was going to message you actually, buddy, and see if you want to do some hobby chat, but I thought, sod it, I'll go live. So yeah, what was I saying? We have next door doing an extension at the moment, and yeah, it's live, Dave. It's really live. A cup of tea and biscuits at the ready. Nice. I have a bottle of water. That's the noises you're going to be hearing a lot of, I'm afraid. So hopefully it's not too frustrating for you all. Yeah, I'm trying to cut down on the coffee a little bit. Let me get myself sorted here. So, yes, I've been frantically trying to get these Met Gunz done. I gave myself a deadline on them. I have just recently taken part in Idic Beer's 10-year invitational celebration to celebrate 10 years of his YouTube channel, and so he invited myself and a lot of other hobbyists and YouTubers to his house to take part in a cool 8-player tournament, and yeah, it was really good fun. So I kind of used that as a bit of a deadline to try and get my Met Gunz finished. I missed that deadline. I didn't get them finished, but I did make a lot of progress on them. They have actually got some paint on them, and they're coming along slower than I would like. It never ceases to amaze me how incredibly slow my painting is, but it's getting there. It's getting there. I'm making progress, and I've got a rare day to myself today, without the kids. Mrs. is at work, and I am going to, as painful as it is, miss out on all this sunshine, because I thought, no, I'm going to try and get down and get some painting done, get some hobby done today, and use this opportunity to crack on and get these done. And my aim today is to try and get these finished, or at least get them very close to finished. I'll show you what I've got so far. Let me just put them together. Some of them are still partially in sub-assemblies, which is why I kind of used the tournament as a deadline, because I need to get a lot more painting done, or at least get the base coats done. So I'll show you what I've got thus far. So I've got 4 Met Gunz. Haven't touched the crew yet. The crew are in a separate box, undercoated. I'll get the Met Gunz fully finished first, and then do the crew, and then put it all together. So today my aim is to try and get these Met Gunz finished. So they are almost at the stage now where I can get the wash over them. And then I can go in afterwards with the highlights and pick out a few details and call them done. So I've almost got the boring bit done, let's say, at the base coating, just layers and layers of yellow. Red, I'm having real trouble with. I'm painting all the cables red, and for some reason I find red such a bitch of a color to paint. What I've learned too late is that yellow and red, I knew this anyway. Well, I knew it with yellow. I didn't really know it with red. Don't go over black very well, as is not a surprise to any of you. But what I've found is that they go over silver or metal really well. And stupidly, what I did, because most of my stuff is metallic, so I've sprayed black, I've dry brushed all the metal areas, and then gone in to start painting the yellows and the reds and etc. What I should have done is not left anything. I should just spray it black and dry brush the whole thing metallic, because actually yellow paints over the metallic really nicely, and the red as well. To a lesser extent, the red is The red is actually worse than the yellow to do, but luckily I've only got the cables of the red to do. So I've been basically just going virtually no water at all, just using the red straight out to just slop it on, because it's just a flat color for the cable. I don't need to be, these aren't going to be golden demon entries or whatever. I'm just trying to get some stuff done. But yeah, anyway, I'm waffling on. Let's show you. So this is what I've got so far. I've done a little bit this morning going over the cables again, but I need to go over them one more time. But yeah, this is the standard Met kit, as you can see there. So that's the bog standard one out of the kit. It's coming along. You can see the color scheme I've gone for. Got some old foundation paints if you're struggling. I used to love my old Orc Army back in the days of 5th. I had foundation paints, the yellow one. It's beautiful, straight on. 2 coats, I would say, but over black just went on beautifully. Don't know why they ever stopped doing those. But no, it's been going on months, this extension. It's been going on absolutely months. But yeah, so yeah, there's that one anyway. So as you can see, I've not done too much yellow on that. Yellow and black, so I've gone mostly black on that one. The old black and yellow, black and yellow. So yeah, that's the bog standard Met gun. Then I've got the sort of stripped down one, which is coming along nicely as well. Again, not too much yellow on there. This one's minor modifications on him. It's just leaving off a lot of the armor bits. Sometimes conversions you can do good results by just leaving bits off. But the main conversion I've done is using Death Dread shoulder guards and old school truck wheels on there to give that a bit of a different look and a bit more of a stripped down bare version. Then I've got this one, which you'll have seen on the thumbnail, which is a combination of truck and Met gun parts. This is the one with the most yellow on it. One I'm quite pleased with actually how that's coming along. So yeah, it's a truck chassis, battle wagon, kill cannon on there, and a bit from the scrap jet, not the scrap jet, the burner bomber, or any of the other flyers. So yeah, that's got a few bits on there. And last off, this one, which uses almost no parts from the Met gun kit, a little bit of parts. So this is mostly truck, and a bit of a rhino door. It's got a zap gun, the custom Mega Blaster from the Morkanaut kit, and the only bit that's actually from the mech gun itself is the sort of the battery, the power compartment that powers it all, which I've got fed into like this sort of fuel barrel and stuff. Orc technology, it works somehow. But I think this is my favourite one, actually. This is the more sort of traditional, well, it's not traditional, but it's got a cannon aesthetic to it. And I'm quite liking that one. But yeah, you can see where I've done the red cabling and stuff. Same way I did with my killer cans. They're all this same colour scheme. And I've just picked out like the rockets are red. I plan to do the same with my tank busters, so all their rockets will be red. So my army will be rusty, black and yellow. It'll have little bits of sort of bronze, brassy tones, and there'll be little sort of spots picked out in red, which I think sort of helps it pop. But yeah, there you go. So that's that. So like I said, I just thought I'd go for a random live vid while I paint, because while I'm chatting away, it can help me stay focused. So what am I going to do next? What I need to do next is get a last little layer of yellow on. So I think I'm going to do that now, because I'm pretty much now, I'm at a stage where I can see some bits where undercoat's still showing through. So I've got a little bit of touching up to do. I'm just doing a bit of tidy up, really, because I really want to just get this done, and I'm going to have to just accept the fact that some of it won't be perfect. I've just seen a bit that I've missed there actually completely with the yellow. One little section that I couldn't quite see, so that's going to be annoying. So I have to get that bit painted. But they're orcs. I have to lower my standards somewhat and just get them done, because no one's going to look at them as closely as I'm going to look at them. But the tournament at Nick's was hugely inspirational, because there were some. I was the elephant in the room with the mostly unpainted army. There was a friend of Nick's there with his Blood Angels army that was partially painted, but a lot more painted than mine. Very basically painted, but still put mine to shame. And most of the other people's armies there were beautifully painted miniatures. There was Average Brit Wargamer was there with his Thousand Suns army, which looked incredible. There was Warzone Morlock, who was there with his Primaris army. Again, beautifully painted, absolutely stunning levels of paintwork on display that I don't think I will ever achieve, not to that standard. There's a nicely painted Tyranid army there. Nick's Necrons, obviously, a lot of you will have seen them hundreds of times. They're really nicely done. I'm trying to remember what else there was there. There were two other orc armies there. There was Capitan Morgan's orc army, which was had been painted in an astonishingly quick time. He's only just recently started an orc army, and that's what really put me to shame, is that he's only just started this orc army very recently, and he's done it with the new contrast paints. And his armies, it's done very quickly, so you can see they're done very quickly. When you pick them up, you can see the imperfections, and they were done to a very basic tabletop standard. But wow, what an achievement. He's painted hundreds of boys, hundreds of looters, not hundreds of looters, but hundreds of orcs and Gretchen. And when you're standing at the other side of the table looking at the army, it looks lovely, it looks great. It's only when you come and pick the models up closely and look that you sort of see, you can see that, the imperfections and stuff, and that they've been done very quickly and just to get done and get on the table. So my aim is to sort of land somewhere between the two. On one end of the scale, you've got really quickly done with contrast paints, slapped together just to get them on the table, done. On that end of the spectrum, you've got the other end of the spectrum, like Average Brit Gamer and Morlock and stuff, with their beautifully painted armies. That genuinely, guys, really stunning work. I want to be somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to go down the route of contrast paints. I see the advantage in them. I do see the benefits of them. They are incredible at what they do. But I'm going to stick with the schemes I'm working with and what I'm using. But I just need to just carry on now and crack on. And so, yeah, it was quite inspirational to sort of inspire me to pull the finger out and get going. And we think we're probably going to do something again next year. Nick's possibly going to make it like an annual thing, these sort of tournaments or get-togethers and things. So it'd be quite good, actually, for me to use that as a deadline for next year to hopefully arrive with a fully painted 1,000-point army. That needs a bit more of a mix. Excuse the suggestive bottle shaking here. I'll wait for the rude jokes to start pouring in. I've got 8 people in here at the moment watching. That's good. Didn't know whether I'd get anyone at this time of day on a Monday in the middle of the day. Funny time to do a live stream. What on earth is going on with this paint? That had separated really well. There we go. Jeez. Let's go try that. You know why, don't you? Because I'm using the wrong bloody one. Demonic yellow. That's not the one I want to be using. Desert yellow is the one I'm using. Jeez. God. This is the trouble. This is why I've never painted on live stream before. I'm not the best multitasker. Shake those bottles like a Mexican and his maracas. Well, that's good. A clean joke about the shaking. I wasn't expecting that. Do sound like maracas though, don't they? Right, here we go. Oh, can't believe I did that. Right. There we go. Yeah, this desert yellow is very deceptive actually, because it looks brown in the bottle. When you squirt it out on the palette, it looks brown. But once you paint it, it sort of comes out as like a mustard yellow. And I quite like that because I quite like the sort of darker yellow rather than the bright yellow. It looks a little bit more militaristic and a bit more grubby and dirty. And, you know, once I'd done everything, I'm slapping on rust, washing everything down so it looks dirty, worn and used. Because although they're bad moons, I don't want them to be looking like they're fresh. I want them to look like they've been battling for long times. So here we go. I need to find one of my fine detail ones. My missus got me these brushes, golden maple, they're called. She got me a big set of these, and they were only cheap off Amazon. I don't think they were very expensive at all. I think they were, and there was a big set of all these brushes. Actually, and I wasn't expecting much from them. I just thought, cool, they'll be good brushes to hand in. They're really nice, kind of way, so they're comfortable to hold, and they seem like really good quality. Actually, I've been getting great results from them. So yeah, golden maple. I want to check those ones out, guys. They're actually pretty nice. I won't spoil the results of the tournament itself. Because obviously you'll be able to check that out on Idic Beer's channel very soon when he uploads it. He's sort of uploading it as sort of a highlight reel and thing, a big celebratory video. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. But yeah, rest assured, lots of fun was had on the day. It was great. I got to play 3 battles against a variety of armies and opponents, and yeah, I think my army did reasonably well. There was yeah, it was good fun. It's great fun to be throwing some dice with some like-minded people, meet some other YouTubers, something like that I've never really done before, and so I was a bit nervous going to it. You know, it sort of took me out of my comfort zone a bit, but I was touched and flattered to be invited, and it was great to take part in. Actually, it really was, and I look forward to doing it again. And my army performed admirably. Actually, it did okay. I wasn't really sure how it would. I made a list. It was a 1,000-point tournament, and I made a list and had one practice game against Joe just as a refresher and things before the tournament itself. And it did very well. Relied mostly on a large unit of, or a fairly large unit of meganobs, and a maximum squad of tank busters, who did. My tank busters did incredible, but it was very much a sort of a one-trick pony army. The tank busters did the tank buster bomb with the weird boy jumping them in to cause carnage in the enemy rear lines turn 1, and every game I had they achieved that and then some, using the more Daka stratagem and the showing off stratagem. It's just obscene the amount of carnage they can wreak in the first turn. Obviously, by second turn they were all dead every game, but yeah, they did what they needed to do. They got their points back pretty much every time, and yeah, so tank busters for the win. My big mech with shock attack gun didn't achieve a whole lot. All the games, very random, you know, sometimes they work amazing. More often than not, they don't achieve a whole lot. He was shaving wounds off things here and there and contributing a little bit. He was attracting a bit of fire and stuff, but yeah, he didn't really do a whole lot. Grots did what they do best, held objectives and died in their droves, but got me some victory points and helped, you know, distract opponents' fire and things. But yeah, I don't really want to give too much away about the sort of ins and outs of the tournament because obviously it will spoil the video when you all watch it. So make sure you're subscribed to Nick's channel if you're not already, because I think it'll be quite a cool video to watch. And while we're on the subject of plugging things, oh, hang on a minute, let me get this. He's running a competition at the moment to win a box of Start Collecting Necrons to also celebrate hitting 15k subscribers. So he's been hitting a lot of milestones lately. So check that out. This one's not too bad actually. This is just a little bit of a touch up. I'm just giving it another little light coat on the yellow just to make sure these are all done okay. I'll do a little bit of edge highlighting and stuff on them once I've done the wash. And another little trick, because I'm applying a lot of battle damage to these sort of armor plates and things on all my vehicles. Actually, if I find a little part of the say later on down the line, once I've washed it and everything, and you know when you're looking back at it, you see bits that you've missed in that. If I see any parts of the yellow that are looking a little bit ropey, or where the undercoat's still showing through, or you know where I've missed a bit, I can get around that by applying battle damage to that bit and putting some, you know, I do it very basic, just paint a little splodge of black and go in with a little bit of metal in that, so it looks like sort of, you know, scratches and bullets and battle damage and stuff. So I can just do that on those bits and hide the sins, basically. This is where this sort of rundown, if you were doing more clean, you know, if you were doing things like Space Marines or Elder, I think would be hard because you'd have to make sure it was all absolutely perfect, because those pansies like everything clean and pristine, don't they? So with Orcs, the advantage you've got of having it all a bit run down and cobbled together and battle damaged is that you can, like I say, hide those sins, which is very useful at times, very useful. So, and you know what? I was looking actually as well, another thing, going back to looking at, it's great looking at other people's armies, especially when you get a chance, when you see it on camera or you see them in a display cabinet or from across the table. You can admire the work and stuff, but it's not until you pick up the miniatures and really look at them close. And I was looking at some of these painted and done, but it's quite interesting. You pick something up that you think is stunning, and then when you pick it up, you think, oh, he hasn't actually painted that bit, or he's missed that bit out, probably deliberately to save time and things. But you think, well, I don't need to be that much of a perfectionist. There are elements of the model. So, you know, on the control panel here, I've just sort of, well, that's picking up. You can see I've just sort of picked out the buttons on the keyboard under the monitor there. And I do plan to paint the monitor itself, but I've got all this cabling and buttons and cables and, you know, gubbins and bits all over it that I was thought, God, I'm gonna have to pick all these bits out and stuff. But you don't actually have to. You don't need to. You can just leave some bits, because, yeah, it's how far do you want to go with it, really? If it was a hero, you know, HQ or a lord or something, then you might want to, you know, really go to town on it and really, you know, pick out every tiny little detail there is. But on miniatures like this, you know, you're just your line infantry and your vehicles and things. You know, where do you draw the line? Otherwise, you know, you will, yeah, at the end of it, you might get something you're really proud of. But then you look at your army and you realize you've got to do that another 50 times. And how slow I am and how just terrible I am at getting anything painted. I have got to get that sort of idea out of my head and just focus on getting some stuff done. And at the end of it, yeah, it might not be quite up to the standard that I would like, but it's better to have something done. And I got a little bit of ribbon at the tournament for having, you know, the only one there with the unpainted army, obviously. That was to be expected. So you're much better off having something not painted very well than having something not painted at all, because people respect the fact that you've given it a go and you know you've had a stab at it. And so that's what I just need to crack on with now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting these fully finished. When they are, I will do a little showcase video, show you what I've done. I think they're going to look good because I'm going to base these. I'm going to have all the Grok crew with them on the base, so I think that it will look quite cool once it's all done. Concentration now. This is where I'm trying to talk to you guys and paint. So unusually for one of my live videos, I do apologize, I won't be responding to many of the comments and things. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves in the comments section. I usually watch my live videos back after they've been uploaded so I can just see all the comments at a later stage. So I generally do read them, even if I don't get to actually read them during the feed itself. Okay. This heat's not too good for paints either. You know, things dry out very quick. It could be a plus and a minus sometimes if you're trying to, you know, if you're trying to paint something and get onto the next layer on it. It can be quite handy that it dries out quickly. Other times, your paint's drying out in the palette quite quick, because for these yellows and reds, I'm not using a wet palette because that just waters the paint down way too much. And it just means rather than 3 coats, I'm going to have to use about 500 coats. And I don't want to be doing that. And I think with watered down paint like that, you'd just be doing it forever. I did it before when I painted my son's Space Marine Terminator captain, and I did his cape. Did all the armor and everything fine. And then when I went to do the cape, which I wanted to do red, and I was doing it off the wet palette, I must have painted about 7 coats on this damn thing, and it just wasn't happening. I thought, oh, I'll just be doing this forever, and I gave up in the end and started using it straight from the pot, and just, you know, did what I'm sure a lot of professional or competent painters would say never to do, and just got impatient with it and just slopped it on straight from the pot, nice and, you know, one thick coat job, just to, you know, because I got so peed off with trying to get the bloody thing to work. Okay, that's looking all right now. So that's the yellow done on those two. Got the worst 2 here to do now. And also building some of the sub-assembly bits together has helped somewhat in that there's, you know, like on this one, for example, the armor behind, I don't have to worry too much about that, because who's going to be really looking underneath to try and see. I've got the outlines, but then I tidy up the lines of the file. Okay, so not too much to do on this one, actually. Although I don't know what I'm going to do about them black lines. Right, get a little bit of water in there just to stop it drying out on me. So what's everyone else working on? Is everyone else currently building anything or converting anything or painting along with me? Are you working on your orc hordes? If it's orcs you're working on. If it's not orcs, why isn't it orcs? Why are you painting a 2nd or 3rd rate lesser faction? It was a pleasure to see at least 2 other orc armies in this tournament. That was interesting, and all 3 orc armies were very different from each other. There was myself with my shooty bad moons, with quite an elite list. Capitan Morgan, he also bought bad moons, and went more with a few more boys, and looters. He had a large mob of looters, which I know were doing pretty well on the table. And then there was a Death Skull Orc army, which did very well, and also had looters, and mech guns, but had quite a large horde of boys. I think the core of the army was boys, and it kind of showed that still that, the core of any orc army having lots of boys is never a bad tactic to use, because they did very well. And Death Skulls is a very good clan trait. I would say definitely the best all-round clan trait. Yeah, Bad Moons are really powerful with their shooting. If you do want to do a good shooty orc army, you can't go wrong with Bad Moons. They are very good. I think they get a lot of attention these days. Bad Moons' popularity since the Codex has definitely gone up. I started Bad Moons before they were good. Shooty orcs were never really a good thing before, certainly in 7th, and not good in the Index either. But I think Death Skulls with the re-rolls, the invulnerable save that they all get as standard, that's obviously very useful, helps keep them alive. So they, being able to have your 6+ saves most of the time, it makes a lot of difference when you've got a horde of 30 of the buggers and you're making a lot of saves. Having an invulnerable save is a godsend, especially if you're backing it up with a pain boy. So you've got that invulnerable save, and then you've got the feel no pain save as well. Makes a difference in how many you lose. And then getting a lot of rerolls as well. Being able to reroll 1 dice for each unit each turn makes a lot of difference. Especially if that 1 dice is a rocket or a custom mega blaster. Really useful. So yeah, they're not the one that I think gets a lot of attention. I think a lot of people, if they want the sort of close combat, they tend to go for Goths or Evil Sons to get into combat quicker. Actually, competitively, I would put Death Skulls as probably the #1 clan, just for an out-and-out all-round performance in what they can do and what they're capable of. They've got some nice stratagems and things as well, and some nice traits and things they can use. And I think you'll see more and more people using them as people discover just how effective they can be. Okay, gonna need to switch to the smaller brush now to get into some of these details. Here we go. How is everyone in the UK enjoying this heat at the moment? I mean, geez, it is hot. It has been just relentlessly hot, and that's been really hard with trying to paint and things, because you just sort of in the house just sweating out, hot, tired. That can be very demotivating when you want to sit down and paint. And I always feel a bit guilty about doing things like this when the day's like this. You feel like you're wasting the day. You feel like when it's like this, if it's a rainy day outside, that's a good, guilt-free. You can sit in and stay indoors, watch movies, do painting, whatever. You don't feel like you're missing out. But with a day like today, I'm looking out there and I'm thinking, God, you know, should be out there enjoying the sunshine. I did a bit of that yesterday. Took my daughter out for the day for a bit of daddy-daughter time together. My youngest, 3 years old, my little princess, and had an absolutely lush day with her. Out enjoying the sunshine and everything. And I said to myself yesterday, all right, done all that today, so tomorrow I'm going to make sure I get a lot of hobby done. And so that is what I'm going to do. And I'm hoping by the end of the night I'll be really pleased that I've done, because I'll have something really good to show for it. Some people really enjoy painting. I'm not generally one of those. I like the results. I like the satisfaction you get after you've done it. But I don't enjoy it the same way that I enjoy building or converting. I definitely enjoy that more. But what I do love is that feeling of accomplishment when you've got something fully painted, and it is a lovely feeling to have a fully painted army. And it's something I have had before and I'm keen to have again. And I have made it easier on myself because I've gone for a non-traditional orc army. I don't have lots of boys in my army. Well, I do. I have lots of boys here, but in my typical lists and the army I'm sort of working towards is much more of an elite heavy army. So we're talking mech guns, we're talking death dreads, mega knobs, you know, the expensive stuff. So it is a bit more of an elite shooty army. And so it does mean I have less models to paint than your typical orc army. And once you've got an army painted, it's just a case of adding units to it then, one at a time, and it suddenly doesn't feel so daunting then. You're not looking at a huge load to get done because you've already got your army. You know, once you've played a few games with it, you might want to add another unit to it, and then you can just add to it, and the pressure's off then because, you know, you have an army, you have a painted army. And then if, you know, if you're going to things, tournaments or whatever, where you have to have everything painted, it might not be the optimal build that you've got painted, but at least you've got something. And then if you do want to add that key unit to it, it's not a huge task just to just get that one vehicle painted or that one unit painted in time for the tournament, rather than having to paint an entire army for the tournament, which is something I didn't even attempt to try and do. I think one of the hardest things I find about painting, though, I don't know, I'll be interested to hear all your thoughts on this, and if you reach a similar sort of mental state. But I get to there's always a certain point in the painting where I stop, look at what I'm doing or what I've done, and I just say to myself, that looks crap. Just looks crap. It doesn't look like how I intended it to look. It's not coming together the way I intended it to look. And then it's at that point quite often, this is why I've got some stuff sort of half done, because I then lose the motivation at that point. I'm like, oh, it just hasn't worked out. I've got a war boss sort of base coated and stuff, and then I looked at him and I was like, no, it's not right. It's just not, it's not right. And then I kind of think, oh, I have to paint over bits, and I think, oh, sod it, I'll just come back to it later. But I found that that happens nearly all the time, because it's not until you apply that wash or apply that final highlight that suddenly it pops and it all comes together and you're like, ah, now it looks good. And so that's what I'm keep telling myself here with these mech guns. You know, at the moment I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay. But I'm hoping that when I do the wash and go in and pop the little highlights and touch them up with a couple of details, that then I'll be really pleased with them, hopefully. Fingers crossed. How does everyone else feel on that? Does it depends, I suppose, if you're more confident a painter than I am, or a more competent painter even. Maybe that doesn't happen for everyone. Okay, it's coming along. We're almost there. Almost ready to wash these bad boys down. I've just got to go over with a bit of, well, I've got to go over the cables again with another coat of red. Make sure they're done. Go over with some black to tidy some bits up. And then I am going to call it. I'm going to call it. There'll be some bits that I can see that aren't right, but you know what? Sod it. I'm going to call it. And I'm just going to get that wash on and get cracking with it. Because I've been on this base coating stage with these things for too long now. And I'm eager to get these done so I can crack on with the grot crew and get my orc skin down to where I want it. And then I'm off then, because I've got my scheme for my vehicles sorted, because these are just following the same way that I did the cans. So I'm just going to carry this across all my vehicles, but it's the orc skin that I haven't got quite where I want it yet. So once I've done the grot crew, then I know it's just a case of repeating that across all my orc boys and mega knobs, etc. Getting them done. Orc shooter boys, cool. I've got to say, actually, using them in the tournament, I only had a very small squad of shooter boys, because I spent all my points on tank busters and mega knobs to fill out my battalion, my troops, and my HQs. Now I went quite cheap, so for my troops I had 2 units of 10 grots, keep the cost right down, and then I had a unit of 11 boys, shooter boys, one with a big shooter, which I know a lot of people don't rate, but big shooters, I get some quite good results out of them every now and again, and I like the range on them. I like the fact, because generally use that unit of boys to hold an objective, and use their overwatch when people are charging them and stuff. So I've got a knob with a custom shooter from the index and a big chopper, again just to give them a bit of combat capability but keep the cost down. And yeah, the big shooter and the custom shooter, and they just, those 11 boys, they can kick out a bit of damage, to be fair. They had some fairly good results, especially on the overwatch when people were charging them. One of the games I got charged by Blood Angels Death Company, jump packers. They charged my shooter boys, and I think they lost like 2 guys on the way in, which greatly reduced their assault potential. And yeah, they did all right, actually. The mega knobs with the custom shooters did pretty well in the shooting phases as well. 4 shots a piece from them. I think at one point I used the more Daka stratagem with them, because my tank busters were dead at that stage. I didn't really have another unit to use it on, and yeah, that worked quite well on the mega knobs. Oh. So yeah, don't rule out, units like that. They can benefit from those. I'd like to see a unit of 30 shooter boys actually using that more Daka stratagem. I think that'd be very effective. Yeah, the opponent does get to make standard armor saves against them, and they can, especially if they got high armor, they can ruin all your hard work by making all their saves and having a good roll. But those shots do add up. The Daka from the shooter is not to be sniffed at. I mean, it's almost, on par with a bolt gun. Doesn't quite have the range, but being an assault weapon is very nice, that you don't have to worry about your moving and shooting and stuff. And the big shooter's great for when you're holding an objective and the rest of the boys are out of range, but that big shooter is nearly always in range of something. So being able to pop off those 3 shots, it shaves a wound off things here and there. In effect, every now and again it does well. Wounding on a 3+ on most infantry and stuff is nice from the big shooter. So yeah, I rate them. I see why people don't, because you can save the points there and just throw in more boys, which is, you know, definitely preferable sometimes. It depends what role you want them to fulfill, really. If they're going to be more charging in and getting up and close and personal, then I would probably say leave the big shooters out and save some cost. But if, like me, you're going to be using those shooter boys to hold objectives and stuff, then that big shooter is very useful. You don't feel like the squad's completely wasted sitting back there. It can still pop off some pot shots and contribute a little bit to the battle that's going out on in no man's land further up the field. Right, where's that bit I saw? There we go. Just doing the really delicate bits now, so I do apologise, guys, if I go quiet. Detail brush here, just trying to pick out these yellow bits. It's just I'm painting this bit currently, just that skull bit there. And I'm just going around some bits where I've gone slightly over with the black, so really close here, so I'm going to be really careful. Lack of patience is my thing, typical orc. Sometimes get impatient, put on a bit more paint than I should have done and go over the lines, because I'm eager to get, you know, that bit done and move on to the next stage. That'll do. It's not perfect, but if I push it anymore, I'm going to end up going over and then having to go over with the black, and then I'll go over with that and have to come back with the yellow, and, you know, like I said before, where does it end? Update on the channel, what I've got coming up soon. Got a bit of a collaboration video coming up soon, which should be quite interesting, with some guests making a bit of a video appearance on the channel. That should be a lot of fun, so keep an eye out for that. I won't give anything away on that one. What else? I just recently had something very kindly sent through from the Green One for review on the channel, so I look forward to showing you guys that. But I want to get that built and painted before the review, so that'll be a little way off. But it's something very cool that I want to show off on the channel, and you know, promote that company a little bit, because it creates some very cool stuff. Very cool third-party stuff for the orcs. Right. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I'll leave that bit. Okay, there we go. Am I calling that done? I am calling that done. Oh. Hey, Stevo, good to see you with the brushes out. Thank you, mate. Summer sheen on the shiny knob. I didn't even get to read who said that then. Sounds like a Dreadwar thing. I bet it was. Yes, indeed. The clammy bald head. Right, here we are. This is the bit now. I've got a big old bit of yellow there that I've totally missed. Right in a really hard bit to get to. Part of me is thinking, do you know what, if it's that hard to get to, it's going to be that hard to see. I could almost get away with leaving it, because if I didn't notice till now, not much chance that anyone else is going to notice. But no, I'm going to try and get it. Get in there and get that bit done. It's at times like this I wish I was doing goths. Spray them black, pick out some details, do the green skin, you're pretty much done. Okay, so first layer on that. Okay, it's not looking too bad. We're getting there, guys. Shadow Cut, you're invited to join the new Dreadwar forum. She says, but I don't do orcs. Well, why not, Shadow Cat? You need to do orcs. Orcs are the best. And you won't find many people on this channel that disagree with that statement. But we all like different things. We all like different factions. So I hear. There are some crazy people out there that prefer other factions over orcs. Don't for 1 second know why. I'm sure they're okay in their own right. Okay. There we go. Get somewhere. So there's a lot of you in there. A lot more people in the chat. We've got 13 now. 13 people in here. Only 7 likes though. 6 of you need to hit that like button. I need a Skarner's hype man in here, getting on people to smash that like button. But a lot more than I thought actually. On a middle of the day on a Monday, don't you people have jobs? I would usually be at work today, but I booked it off. I've had myself a little bit of a break, holiday. Not really done anything, just literally booked some holiday just for the sake to have some time off and attend Nick's tournament and get a bit of hobby done really, and just chill and just for a change not be at work and not have to rush around and do a load of stuff. And it has been quite nice, if I do say so myself. But what we're up to on the hob video now, we're up to almost about an hour now, and I am, although I'm still painting, I am kind of running out of things to say, but it has been fun, guys, to do just a impromptu live vid and hang out with you guys. Hopefully you've had some hobby done at the same time. And but yes, I think I'll bring it to a close here. Keep an eye out for more videos coming up on the channel soon. Trying to think what I've got coming up. I've got a collaboration video, a special one coming up, which should be a bit of fun. I do have some more tactics videos planned, and well, hopefully I'll be showing you off these mech guns soon. And yeah, there's a couple of videos in the works, a couple of projects in the works to show you. And yeah, I shall see you on those ones, guys. But for now, this is 6+ Stevo signing out.